Hello citizens of this gorgeous planet, it's your girl Suhaida coming straight from the hilltop with a freshly brewed story for your ears only. It's all school spirits up in here and I hope you are repping your school like how I proudly do every now and then. Go ahead and tell me which high school you went to in the comments below. Let's see if we can survive a high school battle. If this is your first time watching a video by yours truly, the name is Suhaida and I am really happy to have you here. Please feel free to look around and I hope you really enjoy my channel. If it is not, today is part 2 of the high school saga. We are talking one of the greatest, legendary, historic, down in the books situations that happened on Hilltop. Krobo Girls, Kogaye! Sit down. Let's go back to 2014 where we made history by standing up for ourselves and insisting on our rights. Today, I am going to tell a momentous story that covers the entire 2014 batch of Krobo Girls Presbyterian Senior High School. Koga 2014, this story is for you. Before we even launch into this story, let's have an honest kiki about how students are treated in high schools. I believe that as a country, as a race, as humans, we tend to be very, very harsh and controlling of our young ones. I would argue it's even worse in Ghanaian high schools because from the ages of maybe 14 to about 18, you are living with these total strangers who are responsible for your entire educational, physical, spiritual, and mental makeup. These people are few in comparison to the thousands of students they are supposed to cater for. It's one thing that does not help how they treat us. Another thing that doesn't help is the fact that resources are scarce. And if you end up putting older people in charge of said resources, they are going to take what they need and in the end, it might not benefit those who need it most. We can escalate this example and maybe talk about MPs and ministers. You see how they've been elected to represent our interests, but then they end up chopping the money. You know that thing. This story is what earned students the title of bona fide rebel. This story is one of the stories that makes me proud to be a Koga. And this occasion occurred on a special occasion, my birthday. My birthday. Krobo Girls 2014 batch chose to make history on my birthday. And so this story is my personal story because I feel like my girls started a revolution. They actually stood up for their rights and said, hey, administration, hey, house mistress, hey, headmistress, you are not going to get away with this. You are going to be held accountable. You will not police us. You will not infringe on our rights. And we got our way. So yeah, it's a powerful story. It's highly motivational. And if you haven't hit the red button, please go ahead and hit subscribe so you can stay tuned to all my videos. Also hit the notification button so that, you know, whenever I make a story, you'll be the first to hear about it and you can come check it out and leave comments. Don't forget that. Leave comments. Very important. Contrary to popular belief, Krobo Girl students are actually very amonyo. And when I say amonyo, it's our high school slang for girls who are very demure and calm and shy and non-protestant. On the outside, it looks like we are these rough girls that are ready to fight and we will take you on. But on the inside, when we are on campus, it's a completely different situation because our teachers are very strict. They are very particular about every single detail. For example, you are supposed to wear black traditional sandals when you are not taking a bath and when it's not school hours. So if you're caught in anything that is not black traditional sandals, you're in trouble. To the extent that it's even nonsensical. I remember there was a time where these rubber ahinema became popular because, let's face it, we are on a hilltop. The traditional sandals wear and tear easily because we are climbing up and down all the time. These rubber ahinema, on the other hand, were very resilient and you could use them all year. So most students prefer that. They were also cheap as well. And it's not like we had even so many shoemakers in the school that you could get your sandals repaired that easily. It was a whole struggle. But will administration allow us to wear rubber ahinema? No. They seized, they punished, they caned until even those who couldn't afford the correct prescribed sandals had to find it. It didn't end at just sandals. It extended to brooches, earrings, how you kept your hair, you know, that whole strictness that comes with Ghanaian high school. Yeah, we had to take it all, and I'd say that our teachers ensured that their laws were enforced. And when you broke any law, the punishments were severe, was all I was going to say. As compound prefect, it was during my time that this whole situation of wearing a vest that says, "Watch out, I am highly indisciplined," came about. So this vest was given to any student that shows any sign of indiscipline. And here, indiscipline could mean anything from talking back to a teacher to not wearing the right kind of earrings. So it was trouble waiting to happen. You had to wear it for a week and do all kinds of punishments. There was another that says, "Watch out, I am the dirtiest girl in the school." And it was reserved for the so-called dirty girls who did not clean their plots or had an unkempt appearance. As you can tell, it's very dehumanizing and shaming to put students through this ordeal, especially when they are in their formative years, and embarrassment and shame is a big thing, you know. But our teachers strategized around this and used all of these means to keep us very, very, very calm. Let's be honest, in Ghanaian high schools, what your teachers and the school's administration has to say is what goes. The students literally have no voice. SRCs, Student Representative Councils, do nothing. Students are not allowed to take active part in their education. They are not allowed to propose ideas for how they feel they could learn better or things that need to be changed. It is so funny how the PTA, the schools board, all of them feel that they know what is best for the students, but the student does not. So our opinion oftentimes goes unheard or is brushed aside. But on this particular day, because all else had failed, we decided that it was time to be heard. And we made sure we were heard. I remember this really clearly because it was my birthday when this whole incident happened. This incident had a whole 2-month build-up, and it's finally exploded on my birthday. And I remember, I think maybe it started happening early February. So when I was in Krobo Girls, we had a huge water crisis. It was hard to get water on campus. I have bathed with 3 sachets of pure water before. Can you imagine? Bathed, brushed my teeth, and washed my underwear with 3 sachets of pure water. Economizing at its best. You'd only find it in Krobo Girls. As if that was not enough, Krobo Girls had a no selling policy when I was in school. No one was allowed to conduct any kind of commerce on campus. So that meant you were either eating from your box or from the dining hall. You couldn't go and buy Indomie anywhere. You can't buy wache. You can't do any of that. Dining or your box. So visiting days on Krobo was normally the last Saturday of every month. So on the last Saturday, our parents, our friends, our lovers would come visit us. They'll bring us presents, they'll bring us home cho, they'll bring us water, because water was a scarce commodity in Krobo Girls. I remember we used to put our underwear inside buckets of water to avoid reggaeing. Reggaeing is when other lazy girls who will not go and hustle for water will come and steal yours. And so you put your underwear inside your bucket of water to deter other girls from using it. As if that worked. If somebody wants to steal your water, they'll steal your water. But yeah, visiting was that time that our parents could come and see us, bring us food, bring us money, bring us water so we could live. And in February, the water crisis hit an all-time high. We didn't have water for long stretches on campus. The tap would flow like once every 2 weeks. It was really, really bad. This is how things went down. About 1 week before visitation in February, after chapel service, Assist Domestic shows up and says, "There isn't going to be visitation next week. Why? We have decided to hold a PTA meeting somewhere in March and we want your parents to attend it. If we go ahead and let them visit you now, they won't come for the PTA meeting. So we are combining both days." And then I think they put visitation somewhere in the middle of March. Now, understand, that we knew visitation was coming. Many of us had already spent the things in our chop boxes. We were running dry, low on funds, and we were just like trying to keep body and soul together already. We also didn't have water, and we were just trying to hold ourselves to the finish line of visitation when our parents will bring us everything we need, only to hear that visitation has been moved 2 or 3 weeks ahead. And there was nothing we could do about the situation. Why? The adults had decided. So over 2,000 girls can go and die if they like. So we are on campus, struggling, having a hard time, but trying to just reach this date that the school's administration had given us. The next Sunday, which was my birthday, 2nd of March. At this point, broke could not describe the state of affairs for even the richest girl on campus. We were all high and dry. None of us had anything going for us. We used to flex dining because our boxes could more than provide, were now rushing whenever we heard the siren for dining because times were hard. And I remember on this day, it was particularly more so because I don't know if they've changed this tradition, but in Krobo Girls on Sundays we were fed just twice a day. So we had brunch, which was normally a ekwegbemi, and then we had kenke in the evening. That was what we had on Sunday. And so we are all sitting there hungry, waiting for brunch, and then we hear that brunch was not cooked. We go to the kitchen and they're like, yeah, there is no food. Why is there no food? There is no water on campus. Over 2,000 girls were not given food on a Sunday afternoon because there was no water to cook the food. I remember I was lying in my dormitory weak from hunger, and I remembered I had some leftover Tom Brown mix my mother made for me. So Angela, Mamia Kosia, and I had Tom Brown mix, and we just sat down and hoped for better. We were sitting there, and then one other prefect came to tell me, this is what is happening in the kitchen. There is no water to cook food, but there is a huge water reservoir in assistant domestic's house. So how about we round up these Form 1 girls and let them all fetch 1 bucket each to the kitchen so that the cooks can find something to cook for us. I thought this was a wonderful idea. So with my last Tom Brown mix hunger energy, I woke up, put on my check cloth, and went and gathered these Form 1 girls, led them to domestic's house. We got to domestic's house and domestic said, what are you coming to do here? Said, Madam, we are coming to fetch water. The kitchen says they don't have water to cook for us. We are hungry, so we are coming to fetch water to go and cook. Assist the domestic looks us in the eye and says, I have no water for you. If you fetch this water, what will my family and I use? So I'm sorry, I can't give you water. And I come down and I break the news to everybody that the situation is hopeless. It's hopeless. They say they won't give us water to cook and eat. So how we are going to survive till visitation is really their back case from the looks of things. And I resigned myself to this reality and I went to my dormitory to sleep off the rest of my horrible birthday. So I was sleeping, just thinking about myself. And Mommy rushed into the dormitory and said, hey, Suhaida, your classmates are demonstrating, oh. Now, my class is the D class. And in Krobo, I don't know if you guys still know this, the newbies there, but then the A class is like the baddest class, then the D class. So my class was the second baddest on campus, and my row was the worst in the entire class. We called ourselves the rebels. What had happened was Abigail Abrakwa and Patience Date thought this was nonsense, and they didn't see it as the kind of nonsense they were ready to sit around about. They thought this was really, really insane. For there to be water, a reservoir of water in somebody's house while students were starving. They thought it was nuts. So they picked up their yellow gallons, they tied their heads with kojan, and then they started walking around the school, drumming, going yenyabre call. Now, who will mind two girls walking around the school singing yenyabre call? When Akosia tells me this, I take it with a grain of salt because this is Krobo. Every insurrection is killed in utero, so I wasn't expecting this to go anywhere. Yenyabre call. One lap around the campus. Yenyabre call. Second lap around the campus. Yenyabre call. Now, 2 girls are 15 girls. By the 7th lap, half the school was on the streets shouting, screaming, shaking the hilltop. It wasn't easy. The rest were just standing around cheering. And me, I need to be very, very honest about my role in this. It wasn't the best role. I wish I could go back and rewrite history and say I was on the forefront, but I wasn't. I was thinking, I am a prefect. I don't want to be demoted. You see how power can choke you sometimes. So I was just standing behind my dormitory going, Yenyabre call, while my brave rebels led the charge. So yes, they marched and then the administration got scared. They were shook. Came down Jerusalem and showed up on the assembly grounds where we were all rallied and enraged like we were bursting at the seams. Who shows up along with administration? Assistant domestic. She like majestically takes her time to walk down the staircase as if our rage was nothing to her. Of course, this further inflames us. So she shows up there and she's like, yeah, go ahead and scream. She's saying this, so I'm quoting her. Go ahead and scream. I don't care. Aren't you starving? She didn't care. Oh, she didn't care. Assist domestic. A woman with children of her own didn't care that we were starving and we were making noise about it. And the rest of the school thought we were just being downright unruly and they weren't even going to listen to us. They were just coming to look at the drama we were starting because we, dear, our mothers. Then our new chaplain, I don't know if he's still there, he looked God in the face and said, no, we need to do something for these girls. So he brought in a pure water truck to deliver water. The pure water truck drove and then landed in the heart of the girls' dormitories. This sight was the most beautiful sight my eyes have ever witnessed, okay? So when the pure water truck rolled to a stop, all the girls forgot that they were demonstrating about something. We all rushed for the water, you know. Everybody rushed for the water and then they were giving us bag after bag after bag and we're all happy. I'd say I'm standing behind my dormitory and behind my dormitory is still a bit of a high ground. So I am looking at the road, right? And we are getting the water, people are carrying water. I'd say after the first distributors maybe took about 10 steps away from the truck, it was almost by telepathy. From where I was standing, it looked like somebody dropped the same message on the heart of every girl with water. They all turned around and they started throwing water at the chaplain. They were just dousing the guy with pure water. They turned on the administration. They basically attacked. We went ape shit with the water. We were just throwing it at anybody in authority. We weren't having it. We were just like, take your water. This is insulting. You wouldn't give us water while we are starving and you are now thinking you can come and placate us by giving us 1 bag each. It's not going to work. We went nuts on them and it was glorious. It was glorious. I felt like Helen of Troy. Another interesting thing about Krobo Girls, we had our church service in the evenings and then we're supposed to wear our chapel cloth and wear our nice sensible shoes and go and sit down and listen to the word of God. But on that Sunday, girls were like, fuck it. We are not going to any church, Bia, forget. Girls slept in their dormitory. Of course, the Krif girls came around and said, sisters, let's go. This is wrong. We've already disrespected people and we are not supposed to do that according to the Bible. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't go. And the next morning, they didn't punish us as they normally would because they were afraid that if 2,000 girls decided to go further nuts, they might not be able to control it. I am bringing this up to let you know that since you're tired upon training or Jewo, you understand. And Krobo girls, no matter how calm they look, don't push them. Don't push us, so don't push us, because if you push us, you will get what you're looking for and you might not live to tell the tale. I am so glad that I have been able to share this story. It's just one of the best from Krobo Girls. Huge shout out to Patience, Date, and Abigail Abrakwa, or should I say Mrs. Abigail Abrakwa, for starting one of the greatest revolutions Krobo Girls has ever had in our over 100 years of existence. So thank you so much for bringing this home to us and for reminding us that our rights are ours and we need to protect them at all costs. Abigail is actually in the police force and I couldn't be prouder, because I know that I am being served and protected by a very strong, passionate woman who cares a lot about her rights as a person, and as such will ensure that the rights of other people are not taken for granted. Shout outs to Krobo Girls everywhere. Shout outs to Krogiss everywhere. Shout out to the 2014 legendary batch. Shout outs to the D class from 2011 to 2014. Ken's house. Shout outs. All my Krogiss girls, I love you so much. The love is deep. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey, of my history, of my future. We move forward together. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for staying tuned and watching this video till the very end. I hope to see you again with another exciting episode. Please hit the subscribe button and notification button. Hasta la vista, baby.